Q3 GDP came in at 4.3%, blowing past expectations of 3.2%. 60 of 61 Bloomberg economists got it wrong, but Trump and some other geniuses got it right. The Trump economic golden age is full steam ahead. You haven't seen anything yet. Those are the words of President Donald Trump on Truth Social after his GDP growth surpassed expectations as he raised the GDP by 1.1% more than expected, which means that the US economy grew by hundreds of billions more than expected. So does this mean Trump has actually proven everyone wrong? Have Trump's economic changes paid off? When Donald Trump took office as president in January 2025, the economy of the United States had increasing economic growth, low unemployment, and declining inflation in the aftermath of the 2021 to 2023 inflation surge. Under the second presidency of Donald Trump, the federal government of the United States had pursued an economic policy focused on lower taxation, deregulation, and large-scale protective tariffs. Trump delivered this economic plan in three ways: DOGE, tariffs, and the One Big Beautiful Bill. To start off, we'll go over them in order. To cut the United States federal budget, Trump established the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk. DOGE members have fulfilled influential roles at federal agencies and sought to vastly cut their spending in order to save money. They have specifically attempted to dismantle nearly all of the functions of the United States Agency for International Development and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, in which these agencies helped foreign countries through troubles and protected American consumers in the financial markets. DOGE has also facilitated mass layoffs of federal government employees and the dismantling of many federal agencies, as we have mentioned. Layoffs primarily focused on probationary employees, with nearly 10,000 federal employees fired by February 2025. The cuts and firings have believed to have cost the US government $135 billion altogether. Elon Musk initially said that DOGE would cut $2 trillion in costs from the United States federal budget, which he first revised to $1 trillion and then later reduced to $150 billion.
Wasted. And the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
How much do you think we can rip out?
I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Have you identified some cuts that you're really looking at that you think will be successful? Do you think $2 trillion is a realistic number now that you're looking more closely at it?
Yeah, well, I think we'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. But I do think that you kind of have to have some overage. I think if we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
By April 2025, he said that DOGE had saved over $160 billion, though with the cuts and layoffs, it is safe to say that savings have become very minimal. The One Big Beautiful Bill was a heavily and madly debated topic, even among conservatives. Even one of his biggest supporters and donors, Elon Musk, called it the biggest debt increase in American history, and said it was going to burden American citizens with unsustainable debt. So firstly, we want to break down the One Big Beautiful Bill simply, so we can understand a lot about the reasons behind the GDP growth and why so many people are upset. Trump released the bill, which is focused on many tax cuts and legislations. It is extremely long with over 1,000 pages, so we will summarize the key points to make it easy for you, going over the positives, negatives, and an important conclusion. Some of the positives are: in short, it promised that the tax cuts of individuals and corporations made in his first term would become permanent. He would remove taxes on overtime and tips, and newborns born between 2025 and 2028 were to receive a $1,000 government deposit in Trump accounts. However, the negatives are heavy. Estimates say that the bill's biggest beneficiaries would be the rich. An analysis done suggests that Americans earning less than $17,000 would lose $820 a year, a 5.7% reduction in median income for that group. The richest 0.1% earning more than $4.3 million, would gain around $390,000, a 2.8% increase. Also, the law cuts over $1.2 trillion in federal spending, mainly from the low-income health insurance programs like Medicaid and the Nutrition Funding Program, also known as SNAP. CBO estimates that the bill would cause 10.9 million Americans to lose health insurance coverage. Public health and policy researchers sent a letter to Senate leaders warning that the cuts to health programs in the bill would lead to over 51,000 preventable deaths yearly. The bill's efforts to dismantle clean energy initiatives would cost more than 830,000 jobs across the country, found the non-partisan think tank Energy Innovation. So where is this money going? Now we know that the government has increased spending on immigration and deportation within this bill. The One Big Beautiful Bill includes $150 billion in new defense spending and another $150 billion for border enforcement and deportations. The law increases the funding for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, from $10 billion to more than $100 billion by 2029, making it the single most funded federal law enforcement agency. Trump and his team have always campaigned on illegal immigration. J.D. Vance claimed the reason housing prices were so high was because of illegal immigration, yet there is very little evidence to show this. In conclusion, we can see that the bill is generating money by cutting jobs, increasing prices, and limiting social programs, while spending is focused on immigration and organizations such as ICE, where there are beliefs that spending money on it will reduce housing prices and benefit the job market, which has not been seen yet. Overall, giving a potential short-term economic growth with social unease and new policies and job cuts, where the consequences of cutting SNAP and Medicaid spending will have to be faced in the future. Finally, the Trump tariffs were enacted, which were essentially a tax the government places on US businesses to stop them purchasing outside of America. They wanted to make businesses put their money back into America and American businesses and reduce imports. The Trump administration argues that its tariffs will promote domestic manufacturing, which would lead to an increase in jobs, protect national security, and be a substitute for federal income taxes. Trump enacted a series of steep protectionist tariffs against nearly every country, raising the United States' effective tariff rate from 2.5% to 27% by April 2025. He began a trade war with Canada and Mexico by imposing near universal tariffs of 25% against both countries in March 2025. Canada imposed retaliatory tariffs on the US, and Trump later indefinitely delayed tariffs on goods compliant with the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement on free trade between countries. Trump justified his tariff policy because of the United States' large trade deficit with many nations and a desire to promote manufacturing in the United States that had been lost to offshoring.
Ready? The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff.
That will take many, as you know, that will take many years.
When imposing tariffs on Canada and Mexico, he cited the influx in illegal immigrants crossing US borders with Mexico and with Canada, as well as the opioid epidemic in the United States, fueled by fentanyl originating in China, reaching the US through Mexico and Canada. This is related to his promise to reduce drug smuggling from across America's borders and return jobs to Americans.
Why impose tariffs that you know are hurting American businesses?
They're not hurting, they're helping because they're creating jobs in America. We're creating tremendous amounts of jobs in America like you've never seen. We're having investment in America. We're not getting ripped off by every country in the world.
On March 9th of 2025, Trump declined to say whether his policies could lead to a recession in the United States. He said in an interview with Fox News that it would take a while to see the payoff from his policies, but that they would ultimately be worthwhile. However, near the end of 2025, the results came in and they were very good. The US tariff revenue exceeded $30 billion per month, compared to under $10 billion per month in 2024. And by December 2025, the tariffs had raised $250 billion in tariff revenue for the US government. It's a large revenue increase. However, the big question is, whose money did the government take? Other countries or American citizens and businesses? Estimates from Goldman Sachs show that the tariff incidence is paid 40% by US consumers, 40% by US businesses, and 20% by foreign exporters, meaning that the majority of the tariff revenue is paid for by American people, which is worrying as we continue. As we dive deeper, we can see that the promised growth in manufacturing jobs that were meant to come from the tariffs has not been realised. Jobs growth has slowed in 2025. Furthermore, studies have shown that the tariffs have increased expenses and reduced earnings for companies and have increased costs for households. So even though the revenue numbers are amazing, it has arguably made daily people's lives more tough with finances, bills, and jobs. As American companies are taxed through tariffs, then these companies increase their prices, so American citizens end up footing the bill. Trump has argued the opposite, that his tariffs would boost jobs, which has yet to be proven in our opinion. But tariffs can have somewhat of a positive effect if they're used in the right areas where American companies can have an internal advantage and grow the skill sets of American citizens. Yet that does not seem to be possible with the lack of education funding under Trump. In conclusion, currently, a typical citizen is feeling the heat of the Trump tariff taxes, even though the revenues achieved were high. So with his 3 economic marks out the way, we can start to see a pattern where economic growth is made by cutting jobs, increasing prices on citizens, and companies limiting social programs, all without offering alternative solutions to increase citizens' wages, companies' incomes, or social benefits. And as forecasts have told us from the Yale Institute, which has also predicted this short-term growth, is that the GDP will decrease, leading to a large economic slowdown and a potential GDP reduction at the end of Trump's tenure. However, there is one more big game player that I mentioned at the beginning of this video we have not talked about yet. This is what we believe is another big factor in Trump surpassing GDP growth considerably. AI, artificial intelligence chatbots such as ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and more. In October, the Financial Times reported that AI accounted for 40% of the US's GDP growth this year. This is an insanely huge growth for a system where AI isn't generating huge money, but rather big companies are swapping money between each other, which means the GDP increases without anyone seeing any meaningful change, similar to what we have been talking about today. And if the signs show that AI is a bubble, then we can safely say that it's really unsure where the American economy lies in the future, especially how the cutting of SNAP, Medicaid, and the tariffs will play into the day-to-day lives of people and this economy. So we can say that Trump's GDP growth does not mean growth for the local citizen, and the day-to-day worker is more negatively affected than before. While funding is moved over to ICE and tax cuts have benefited the wealthy and hurt the poor, and after the next 2 or 3 years we will see the consequences of these actions, we can feel very worried for the US economy and the day-to-day citizen.